What was the purchase price in the end?
I think it was 482.
481, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well,
and something.
sorry, 482,000, and we negotiated a settlement allowance in Tracy's favour.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so the settlement allowance pretty much went towards any wear and tear that the property had.
Yeah.
So hinges off doors, scuff marks on the walls and that and that kind of stuff.
That's Exhibit A of why to use a buyer's agent, right? So how much did you get for Tracy in that process?
So that was $1,000 off.
Yeah.
So it didn't affect the purchase price, but upon settlement, Tracy got $1,000.
Could you imagine a first home buyer or just any average person trying to negotiate that type of thing with a solicitor? Like,
Yeah.
it'd be a nightmare. But I think...
or to even know to do that. Because that's the thing, a lot of people just pay for what they get.
You think you buy it as is, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people buy what they get. So when you hire professionals, they know how the system works. So what they really try to do for you is use that system to your advantage. So they're like, hey, you've paid me for this service. I'm going to use all of my knowledge to get you that service done well. So that's why I keep saying I recommend people go through the right avenues, use the right people.
For sure.
Especially if you don't know what you're doing. Like, why go in blindsided when you can go in with like a team of people and you get educated through the process. Like, there are things you're going to learn about how to do it. So that's important. Say if you're come your fifth house and you're like, oh look, I'm pretty confident, I know what I'm doing, I don't need a buyer's agent or whatever, or like, you just feel like you're confident enough you can do it on your own. But you need those people to begin with to know those things. But you know what? By that stage, you're probably not even going to be bothered about not having a team. You're going to probably be so happy that you used a team throughout the whole process that you're just going to continue the formula. Because if it works, why would you change it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And another point I want to bring up too is a lot of people wouldn't have known how to substantiate why they should get that settlement allowance off, because people don't generally know what it costs to paint up walls, to fix doors, to change doorknobs on doors and all that kind of stuff. So it's really important to even ask your pest and building inspector, if you're not going through a buyer's agent, to see how much you can negotiate off a certain property you're trying to acquire.
Yeah. So we'll go a little bit back and we'll go more into that, why you selected that property. But I mean, when I even introduced a buyer's agent was when, man, we had set this up 6 months ago. You said, so because you're a casual income, generally for casual income, they'll look at a year's worth of income, if it's last year's or how you're tracking this year, and they'll kind of annualize it, right? Because your hours aren't steady. You've got to show a history of making that money to use it in servicing. And with this particular bank, it was just because there's a few banks offering the first home loan deposit scheme, but they each have different ways of assessing casual income. So I found there was a bank in particular that would annualize it over the most recent 3 months, which is perfect for her, right? So the more deposit you have, the better, because whatever your borrowing capacity is, everything on top you can put as a deposit to increase your purchase price. But I think in the end, 5% was like 24,000 for the purchase itself.
It was like 22.
Yeah. And
Which
you know what I mean?
Like nothing compared to what I thought I'd have to save.
Yeah.
Because I think I'd already had that in savings at the time.
Yeah. It was just the borrowing capacity.
Yeah, we were more focused about the borrowing capacity because you knew what I had in savings. Like, that's how you even came up with because like the whole thought behind buying a property was, Jack listening to my finance, because I was, being close friends and, talking to each other about where we're at in life. I told him, oh, this is what I'm doing. Like, I have this much money in my savings right now. I'm thinking like, I'm just going to continue saving and start a business or something. Like, just do something with it. Like, I didn't want to have all this money on me. I wanted to invest it in something. That was the whole purpose. And he'd been in mortgage broking by that point. Like, he'd started going commission based and he knew like he was really working for himself. He was really understanding how that system works. So he was like, man, I think you could do one better and just buy a property. And yeah, from there it was like, okay, well, your biggest thing now is you're a casual worker. Let's try and spend the next 3 months focusing on increasing your borrowing power.
And I like that because essentially what Jack did was he reverse engineered that process. He looked at the end goal and then pretty much gave you steps to achieving that end goal, which is awesome.
And how amazing is that?
A lot of people don't get that kind of advice as to how to purchase property. It's like, okay, where are you at now, and where do you want to be?
Yeah.
Reversing that whole process and giving you clear steps to achieving that goal.
Yeah.
A lot of people miss out because they don't have
100%.
that guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like he really, like, because he obviously knew me so well, he knew my whole setup and what was happening in my life. So I would say that's important for anybody that wants to go into property. Be very honest, especially if you're working with someone like Jack, who really is going to help you. He needs to know the truth about your finances, your habits, like things that are going to really impact your options, because he doesn't want to go through the process and then find out later, like, man, why didn't you tell me this?
Yeah.
We had a deal just like that we
it's
were
like-
in the cooling off period, and I was going in blind because something had changed in this particular client's finance situation, and it ended up the deal didn't go through. But there was a month there where he could have told me that something had changed, and I could have sorted
Worked
it out
it out
then and
for
there.
him.
But because he
Transparency.
he
Yeah,
kind of
you
tried
need
to
that.
get around it. I'm like, mate, I'm on your team.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I look like an idiot now,
Yeah.
and it's not going to go through.
And-
But we'll end up sorting it out. But you touched on a really important point there.
But it's so important. Like, you need to be honest about it. Whatever changes in your finances, whatever changes, like the thing is, like, even with me and Jack, like if he goes, oh, like if something didn't work out in that 3 months, it's all right. Put our head down for the next 3 months, for the next 6 months. So it's an ongoing process. Like if it's not this first 3 months, you'll still get there, but you need to be transparent about where you're fluctuating in life. You know, things always change. So it's very, very important that you're honest about that. So then people like Jack or owners on your team who actually care about you and care about you getting your end goal, they're going to create solutions. They're going to be like, man, like, okay, let's work out another plan.
100%.
You know, like how are you going to get another plan if you're not upfront about it? And that's fine. That I get that. People, you might feel a bit embarrassed or ashamed about these things, and that's normal. But yeah, you need to recognize whether you have, you know, a good team, and then be very, like, work very well with that team.
Yeah. So you used not as much deposit as you thought. You didn't even need as much capacity as we thought, but you gave yourself every chance to get any opportunity that came to you.